Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, today I'm in something a little unusual. To the untrained eye it might look like a regular old Discovery 4, but it isn't. It's actually a van. You know, like a Ford Transit or a Bedford Rascal. This 2016 Discovery 4 is actually classed as an LCV, a light commercial vehicle. As with most things in life, there are many pros and cons to this, which I'll go through with in today's video. I bought this yesterday and I'm already quite smitten with it. I love the Discovery 4, especially one like this, a post-facelift from 2014 onwards. I just think they look superb. It's far less controversial than its successor, and I just think it looks really classy. It has a real bit of old school, old money charm, like an old Defender. On the used market, the LCV Discovery is priced very similarly to the standard Disco 4, so you might be wondering, why bother at all? Well, I'll tell you why. There are some substantial savings to be made. For a start, the road tax is much cheaper. This will only set you back £290 a year, as opposed to the $615 you'll pay for the standard Discovery. So there's quite a big saving there straight off the bat. You see, here in the UK, commercial vehicles have a standard rate of vehicle excise duty, so you pay the same annual road tax for a Corsa van as you would a Discovery van. In the case of something like a Corsa or Fiesta, you're obviously worse off, but in the case of this, you're far better off. What a bleak day it is today. It's lashing down with rain, cold, windy and rotten. Years ago I didn't know that. I remember selling a little Corsa van when I first started High Peak Autos, and the people that were buying it were mortified when I told them it was £290 a year, not the £30 a year they pay for a standard Corsa. So in the case of the old Disco, that's the first saving of many. The next big reason to buy one of these over the car is because it's tax efficient. Because it's classed as a commercial vehicle, if you buy one of these through your business, you'll get relief on your corporation tax. And that really is the main advantage to buying one of these. I guess it's the same reason you see so many people driving around in Toyota Hiluxes and Mitsubishi L200s. I'm not done yet though, there are more advantages. For example, it looks and drives just like a normal Discovery 4, which is to say, very good. You get behind the wheel of a pickup truck and most of them are a chore. They're not particularly nice to drive, they're a bit too big to drive around town, the ride's terrible, the list goes on. But this doesn't have any of those disadvantages. Just doing a little bit of light Ford in there. The other thing with pickup trucks is that the back is mostly useless. Unless you're a farmer picking up a bale of hay from the middle of a field, they're useless. If you're a tradesman and you keep your tools back there, chances are they'll be stolen. And even if they don't get nicked, every time you pull up at the job, you'll have to jump up there and climb in the back just to get them out. It just doesn't make much sense, whereas with this, you just get a standard boot. And because it doesn't look like a van. Yeah, I've been in Thorpe Park. And because it doesn't look like a van, you probably won't get it broken into. You won't be scouring Facebook Marketplace waiting to see your own Hilti trying to be sold back to you. This particular example has the rear seat conversion, so you've got 5 seats and a usable boot. What's more, the seats are trimmed with leather and they're heated. It's the most luxurious van I've ever been in. Certainly more than the Flairside Transit in which I learned to drive. Okay, so I think that's all the advantages, but before we get onto the disadvantages, I just want to say a big thank you to today's video sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Dapper Dan. You'll have heard me mention Dapper Dan before, but if you haven't, they're a local family-run business who make and supply men's hair products. And they're based just over the Pennines in Sheffield, and I've been using them for years, so when they got in touch to ask if they could sponsor a couple of videos, I was over the moon. I'm inundated with offers from companies wanting to sponsor the channel, so I do try and limit it to companies that I like, and whose products I genuinely use. Otherwise it isn't very sincere, is it? And Dapper Dan are one of those companies. Like I say, I've used their products for about a decade. What with Christmas just around the corner, this might be the perfect gift for your father, son or partner. In case you're interested, the products I use are the sea salt spray as soon as I get out of the shower, then I dry it off, sprinkle in some powder, and then style it with some matte clay. It couldn't be easier. It lasts all day and it smells good, and they also ship to lots of other countries. So if you're not based in the UK, check them out, see if they deliver to your country. I'll leave the link below in the video description, so if you click that link and use the promo code HIGHPEAK35, that's HIGHPEAK35, you'll get, you guessed it, 35% off your first order, which I think is very generous. It supports a local business, it supports the channel, and I'm sure you'll like the products. I do. Right, onto the disadvantages of the Discovery 4 Commercial. Firstly then, because it's technically a van, a commercial vehicle, you won't be allowed into your local tip. Although you might be able to fool the local dump employees, you won't be able to fool the ANPR camera on the gate. You'll be about as welcome there as a paedophile in a creche. Next thing, clean air zones, or ultra low emission zones, or whatever fancy name they give to basically the racket that they're running. There was talk a couple of years ago about bringing them onto the Greater Manchester area. Now, if it was just a square mile in the city centre, I could agree with that, I could get behind it. But in reality, the proposed zone spread all the way out here, to the middle of nowhere. Just didn't make any sense. All it was a cash grab, and it would have seriously affected every small business in the area. Your local chimney sweep or gardener or window cleaner can't afford to go out and buy a brand new electric Vito with a range of 100 miles. They haven't got 35 grand to drop on a virtue signalling van, so they have to stick with the 15-year-old Transit Connect. So making them pay a tenner a day so they can use that to go and earn a living because they can't afford anything better just didn't seem fair. Naturally, there was a massive uproar, and the plans have been postponed. No doubt the issue will raise its ugly head sooner or later, and when it does, the LCV Discovery 4 isn't compliant because it's only Euro 5, not Euro 6. The next thing to consider, although I said that it drives like a car, which it does, there's the occasional echo, a bit like the echo you get when you're driving a panel van. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's definitely there. I'm guessing they haven't used the same amount of soundproofing or something like that. Next thing, the rear seats just aren't as luxurious as the standard car. They aren't made from the same leather and they're not heated. They're almost like emergency jump seats just to get one of the lads on site. It kind of makes sense, I suppose. Something else while we're back there, the rear windows don't open. The lights are on, but nobody's home. What's funny is that you still get the same 4 switches on this master switch. You can hear them clicking, but nothing happens. You'd assume they've done that because they don't want people to use this as a standard car, which makes sense. But something like a Nissan Navara or a Toyota Hilux, they have 5 seats, and they have rear windows which go down. What's the big deal? What's the big idea? Moving back even further into the boot, you don't get the 6th and 7th seat like you get in the car. You also don't get windows, you just get metal, which does create a bit of a blind spot. You don't get the triple sunroof, which granted I wouldn't use on a day like today anyway, but it has made the interior quite dark and gloomy. The rest of my criticisms just come down to the spec. You see, they don't make an all-singing, all-dancing HSE version of the Discovery 4 van. The best you can get is an SE like this. So the extras are a little hit and miss. For example, this one has heated front seats, a heated steering wheel, a heated windscreen, digital radio, cruise control. But no armrests, no power folding mirrors, no reverse camera. I might look into retrofitting that actually. Must be a possibility. Nor does it have keyless entry or keyless lock. You'd have thought they'd have made a top spec version for the company boss, wouldn't you? With functioning rear windows and powerful mirrors. But as is often frustratingly the case at Land Rover, it seems somebody didn't have much common sense. I bought this for 2 main reasons. One is very important, and one might sound a little bit daft. It didn't have any VAT on it because the previous owner wasn't VAT registered, so that saved me 4 grand straight away. And the other reason I bought it was because it had a heated steering wheel. I'll let you work out which one was important to me and which one was a bit daft. I think you know the answer. Anyway, I think that's about it. There are the pros and cons of a Discovery 4 LCV. So thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'll leave the link below. Make sure you check out Dapper Dan. Don't forget to use the promo code HighPeak35 for 35% off your first order. And yeah, cheers guys. I'll see you next time.